Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Today is a full review of Gravitas pour Homme. Dan from the channel Mr.Smelly sent me a 5ml decant of it. Dan set up a brand, you'll have probably seen it. He created a Kickstarter, it did really well. Very close to £30,000 raised on his Kickstarter for this. The brand is called Naughton and Wilson, and the first fragrance is Gravitas pour Homme. The perfumer behind it is John Stevens, who's worked for brands like Bodicea the Victorious, and yeah, we'll have the bottle up on the screen so you'll be able to see what it looks like. So this one, I've been wearing it a few times to give you the full review obviously. It did give me very strong memory recall with this one, but I'll get into the official notes for this first. So the top notes for this are bergamot, mandarin and lavender. The mid notes are coriander, cardamom and pepper, and the base notes are ambergris, oak moss and patchouli. So when I first spray this one, I'm just going to spray it again on the card. When you first spray this, it's really quite strong. It gives you a blast of old school masculine aftershave cologne kind of vibe. So when I first spray this, I get instant throwback memory. I had a stepdad a long time ago. He died of a heart attack, but maybe 15 years ago, maybe a little longer than that. But as a teenager growing up, I remember in the family bathroom, he was quite a big guy, big hairy chest. He would walk around a lot of the time without his top on. So I have this memory of him just walking around big and hairy, and he smelled of Old Spice. He had a bottle of white Old Spice aftershave, splash on. You pulled a little plastic thing out, do-do-do-do-do. He would do that every day. When I smell the opening of this, instantly I remember Old Spice and my stepdad. Now, honestly, I haven't smelled Old Spice in probably 15 years, maybe longer. So if you were to directly smell them, they probably don't smell anything like each other. But it did have an instant memory recall of like, Old Spice. That was the first thing that hit my brain when I smelled the opening of this. So it has something very familiar to me. And what I would say is it smells old school, vintage, very masculine, and cologne aftershave kind of vibe. The opening is like a big hit of like real traditional masculine male aftershave. You get kind of the citrusy vibe and all kind of the spices, the pepper, the cardamom, the coriander. It's also a little bit herbal. You get a little bit of the lavender and a dose of the patchouli. There's a slight earthiness and greenness to it. The lavender's a little bit sharp, and yeah, that is just the first initial, literally the first maybe 30 seconds to a minute that reminds me of Old Spice. Then it changes. You start to appreciate the notes coming through more, and it mellows out a little bit from this kind of power 1980s masculine retro aftershave smell. It tones down, you start to smell more the notes. It gets a little bit sweeter. There's a slight vanillic overtone to it. And yeah, like a blend of, like I say, lavender and the spices and the patchouli. There is a coating of what to me smells like ambroxan, which is like a synthetic kind of ambergris. I get kind of a dose of that. I might be wrong, but that's how it smells to me. And I would guess that using ambroxan or something along those lines would help make this very traditional, old school, vintage, masculine cologne smell into something being a bit more modern. Obviously ambroxan used in a lot of really popular mainstream fragrances that are really good sellers, and we associate them with modern masculinity. So I would say the old school vintage vibe that Dan really likes is being kind of modernized with the use of something like ambroxan, which gives it more of an easier to wear kind of rounded feel to the fragrance. Like I say, the opening is quite punchy, it's quite loud, it's quite old school aftershave, vintage, very masculine smell, big hairy chest kind of smell. It mellows out into being a bit more modern. That is the main theme of the fragrance. It really just tones down from there and becomes more mellow and more smooth. As it dries down, it does get a little bit creamier, if that's the right word, or a bit smoother, and it reminds me a little bit more of kind of barbershop fragrances, kind of a classic barbershop scent, really. This one is not my personal taste, I have to be honest. I've never been attracted to the more kind of old school masculine aftershave cologne kind of smells. I don't think they suit my personality. I don't feel like I'm a super old school masculine kind of guy. It doesn't fit me, so that's not my vibe. I'm also not a fan of barbershop fragrances. I don't own any barbershop scents. They've never really appealed to me personally, but if you like barbershop traditional scents, that kind of shaving foam kind of smell, it has an element of that in here. And I'm also not a fan of ambroxan, which you smell more in the dry down of this, which is more, I think it's more modern and more mass appealing, and definitely modernizes this genre of fragrance, but it's not my personal taste. But if you like those elements, classic, retro kind of old school fougere with traditional barbershop and with a more modern twist, then you'll really appreciate this one. But saying that, I think Dan's done a great job at making something that's his style, his what he's known for liking. I think he's done a fantastic job there. It embodies his taste. And like I say, he's managed to modernise that kind of genre that he really likes. So he's done a great job in that regard. And I would say the performance, I can smell it quite strongly in the first hour. By the third hour, it's sitting close to the skin, and I would tap out the longevity on my skin personally around 5 hours. It does last a little bit longer than that, but it's more like a kind of an ambroxan kind of, and slight patchouli, slightly mossy skin scent. So about 5 hours longevity on me. Obviously that's skin chemistry dependent. You might get longer than I do. So the performance is not bad. Lasts most of the day. And like I say, if you like more vintage, male, masculine kind of cologne aftershave type style fragrances, then this will be completely up your street. I'm probably not the best qualified to talk about it because that genre, so to speak, is not my forte. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. I don't know if anyone smelled it yet because I don't think he's sold samples, but if you have smelled it, I don't know if that's circulating around somehow. Let me know. I will give this away just so someone has a chance to smell it. So if you want my leftover decant, let me know in the comments. I'll pick someone at random. Make sure you're in the UK because it might get destroyed sending it overseas. So if you're in the UK and you want to see what this smells like, let me know and I will pick a winner at random and you'll get it in a couple of days. Hope you enjoyed the video. See you again soon. Bye.